Yeah.
And
So the deep dive for this one.
Yulin, actually, whoever looked up how to pronounce it, you do the name.
We didn't want to butcher this. We got some
that
nice
was me.
constructive criticism saying that we should on some names we've been saying wrong, so to check them out. Because we have all the
I agree.
info. It's just sometimes with either our accent or
It's
we
fair.
learn from someone like an announcer that says the name wrong, and then we perpetually keep that going. But so
Yeah, I agree.
we wanted to research.
Never listen to American
Yeah. So
commentators.
what's his proper saying of the name?
I believe it is Lopetegui.
Lopetegui,
Or something close to
Okay.
that.
I might be wrong,
but
that's
he's not.
that's as far.
He's not.
As far as Google Trends
worry.
or
No.
Google, I don't know, voiceover will tell us.
No, trust me. We inquired a Spanish.
Oh, that's true. We actually did, yeah.
Lopetegui.
I got
Why
it. It's
did you like
Lopetegui.
Oh no, that was not our source,
Guys.
Yeah, we actually got a
Uh,
legitimate source.
No, our source was ESPN Spanish. Not the best source either.
Okay, but getting into it, our deep dive for today is going to be covering Real Madrid, covering basically their
Real Madrid.
terrible
not
start
Real
to the
not Real
season.
Madrid.
Their third,
Just saying.
are going into their third manager now for the in 1 year, and kind of why that's happened and
Wait,
who
third?
potentially
Oh,
can
yeah,
be the
yes.
final replacement, because right now they have a temporary manager.
Yo, Big Sam's free.
Yo, get him in, lad. Quick trivia: what position is Real Madrid in the La Liga table? Shrikar, go.
8.
No, Tristan.
I think they're like 4th or 5th.
No, 9.
Not holy.
Who?
What?
Okay. Moving on
Nothing
to the
in that
deep
bad.
dive.
Okay, so guys, first thing I wanted to kind of get your opinions on is why do you think that Real Madrid has been having the season that they have, considering last season they were triple winners for the Champions League?
I mean, there's two main things. Zidane's leaving and Ronaldo's
Yes,
leaving.
that is.
Okay.
Clearly, there has been a psychological
But-
impact on the team.
I don't know if that is the main reason or a reason.
As far as I see it, because there's 8 Ballon d'Or shortlist players there in their team. They
Yes.
are not.
That's
lacking
what
in
they said in their
quality.
statement too. They're like, "Yo, we have
Yeah.
8 players in our team that are Ballon d'Or nominations, and we should be doing better."
Yes.
And
I mean, it makes no sense. Like 2nd, 3rd, 4th, sure, but 9th, that is not good showing, especially after 3 Champions League.
Let's be honest,
triumphs in a
anything
row.
under 3rd
Like-
should not happen for Real Madrid or Barca.
okay, well, before we talk about numbers, why do you think they've just dropped off so badly, and not just like 1 or 2 games or 3 games or 4 games? Almost every single game they've played this season has been horrendous.
So, from my point of view, I think it's due to a multitude of factors and not kind of like solely down to 1 or 2. Like, Ronaldo was obviously a big impact, but that being said, they have so much players and so much depth and quality that relying on one player that much it should never happen. So you can't really put it down to that, especially with the quality they have of the remaining players that they're there. I mean, like, you have like Bale, Benzema, you have like Cruz, Modric. Like, these players are all top quality, named for the Ballon d'Or. Like, not all of the ones I mentioned, but they're all like, they have many nominees, as you mentioned. So you really can't knock it down to that. But that is a factor. Then another one is obviously Zidane leaving as well. You have now a change-up where you have a whole dynamic of, this is how we played, this was our coach, this was our mentality. Now you have to switch and get used to a new coach, which is always takes a little bit of time in order to do it. And depending on how different styles they were, it's always hard to potentially adapt on that big of a change as well. So I think that was obviously part of a big one as well. And then I'm going to throw a lot of this also onto just the mentality of the players. I mean, maybe they came into the season thinking, oh, like, we're triple Champions League, like, we're doing very well, like, this might be easy. And maybe they just weren't as prepared as they were, and then they started losing, and they're like, okay, now you kind of get into the state of mind where it kind of just goes downhill from there. But I think it's a few factors. You can't really narrow it down to one, unfortunately, on this. But
So-
and part of it, I'm also going to throw on the manager. I mean, he wasn't able to execute, obviously, any of his plans. And he actually, I remember reading an article recently where they had the he made it into like the top 10 worst managers of all time for Real Madrid. I think his win percentage was something like between 40 to 50%, basically.
Yeah, I mean, he only had like 18 games
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, so it's
But
it's pretty easy to have that much, but the 5-1 loss against Barca on Sunday, I believe it was, the El Clasico.
that was the last straw.
Yeah, that was the
That
nail in the
last
coffin
straw.
there. I mean, after that big of a score, I honestly think it was a good decision they made because this was going to continue for most of the season, if not all of it.
So, one thing I want to talk about is the specific management style of Lopetegui
Okay.
and how that differs to Zidane. So, one of the main criticisms... Actually, I'll talk about Zidane first because he was one of Madrid's most successful managers ever. You could make an argument to say the most successful.
With 3 seasons, 3
But-
back-to-back Champions Leagues.
So one thing he had was he's been known to obviously have a great relationship with his players, but one thing he was also very sure to have was authority. The players respected him like they respected no one else, and if he made a decision, like they would respect it, and some would be unhappy with it, like Bale, but they couldn't do anything because he was definitely the boss. One criticism that a lot of people aim at Lopetegui, maybe fairly, is that he's too soft with his players, and his players don't respect him. And it's also something that Perez, the president of Real Madrid, apparently blamed Lopetegui for being. And one of the main reasons why he sacked him was the players became too complacent under his lack of leadership, per se. So, like, when you have players like Real Madrid's players who are huge egos, and they need to have like a strong leader who's not going to be overrun by their egos and not scared of him, pretty much.
Yep.
So that combined with the fact that he was coming into it the day after he was sacked by Spain, I think combined to make it like a situation where he couldn't exert his authority as he wanted, and the players didn't respect him, and therefore, like, I don't think he ever really got a grip of the team and the players, and never really was able to tell them something, and they listened with like their full attention. So that's just something I wanted to
See. The way I see it is in the past, say 5 managers that Real have hired, the only ones that have done well are not the more like the tactical managers, but more of like the man managers.
exactly.
Because if you saw Benitez, he
did
had
terrible.
a 17 win in like 25. Statistically, he was great. He had a 10-2 victory over Rayo Vallecano too, which was one of the highest victories ever in Madrid's history. So statistically, he didn't do poorly, but a 4-0 loss against Barca at home really hurt him. And I think, like you said, what Madrid needs isn't like a coach in the general terms. They need a man manager rather than a football coach.
And Conte, what he will be, is that man. And Pochettino, he's again a strong figure.
So let's get into that.
I don't
know.
Basically, with the sacking now, they have a void because they do have a temporary manager with Solari, I believe it is, right? Okay. So,
Yep, Solari.
and he is currently the coach of the Castilla B team, or he was for them as well. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah.
So
I mean, he was.
there's now
and
a
the
list
coach,
that
yeah.
Madrid has drafted up, and it's basically lined up with, you have Pochettino, who's one of them that is a potential option. You have Conte, former manager of Chelsea, who is another option as well. You have Martinez, which is the manager of the Belgium national team, which is also he's on the
Why the
list.
fuck is he there?
Yeah, wow.
I'll get to that in a sec. And then you have also Goody, who was also, I guess, a coach.
Guti.
He was a coach for the Castilla B team, but now I guess he's currently coaching somewhere else. But he's had a lot of experience with the Madrid club as well, so there's been big talk about him. And apparently he's also the closest style to Zidane. So there's kind of Madrid has a habit, and a lot of the fans like to, from what I've seen, to kind of hire coaches from inside the club. And since he's had experience with Zidane, he has similar style. He knows obviously the club and the organization. It would probably be a smart hire, I think, for them. But let's get in with, I guess, the other options. We'll start off with Martinez for the Belgium side. Part of the reason why I think they're considering him is, one, the recent form of the World Cup with Belgium. He did very well. Two, Courtois has probably like hyped him up, I think, to the club from his side.
I think more than hype, he just doesn't want the other managers in the running because he has poor
Yeah,
history
we'll get
with
to
them.
that too when we talk about Conte specifically. And then the other option is also, or the other reason I think is they're hoping to probably get Hazard to join from Chelsea to Madrid, since there's been links forever with him. And they obviously have a pretty good relationship as well with, since they know from the Belgian national side as well. So I think that's one of the reasons why they're considering Martinez. But Martinez apparently has a pretty long contract, I think, with Belgium, so it's going to be pretty hard to get him out of it. So they're either going to have to pay a lot of money in order to do it, or
I don't see
figure
Martinez
something.
being successful at Real Madrid if he goes. I really don't see
No, I think it's gonna be worse than Benitez if he does go.
that. Benitez was, again, he was pretty good, man. I was surprised when he was sacked.
I don't know. I've only heard bad stuff
was
about him,
harsh.
but I don't have too much knowledge on Benitez at Real Madrid specifically.
Yeah, he lasted like half a season.
Yeah, I know, it was very short-lived.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
but getting on
getting
to
back
the
it.
next one, we have Antonio Conte, who was the front runner for the longest time. Less so now, though, actually. And Madrid had contacted him a while ago about potential signing, basically, with the club. I think they've had issues with kind of the fees of what he wants. So that's slowed down a bit. Not to mention, Courtois absolutely said... he denies saying this, but I'm pretty sure he said this within the club to someone, saying, like, I will not play for him. Like, I left Chelsea to get
my
away
God.
from him. So, that's a
Oh
big
my
one.
God.
Not to mention, Hazard, I think, also didn't have a good relationship
I mean,
with
he's a
them.
goalkeeper. What the fuck does he want from a manager?
The other thing is...
just go and save the ball.
The other thing is Hazard didn't have a good relationship with him either, so if they sign him, that kind of kills your potential transfer dead in the
Yeah.
water, which I hope they sign
That's
him.
why.
I really do, because for Chelsea, they also won't have to pay him his like compensation fee of £7 million that's in court currently. So if he gets signed, then they don't have to pay that. They probably won't lose Hazard. Like, this is huge for them. But so for him, it's been kind of like back and
man.
forth. He probably, though, would be the best fit for Madrid, I think, as far as coaching wise goes, besides Pochettino.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah, him, not Salah, definitely not
Yeah.
Salah.
What?
You can have
So then,
Hazard.
other
Please.
options are Goody and Solari, who are both like Castilla B coaches. Like I said, Goody has
Mhm.
more of a style closer to Zidane, so he's a potential. I think that would probably be a good one for them, depending on how experienced they think he is or how potentially he will be able to do for them. I think that's a good one there. But Pochettino, if they could even get him, I think would be a great sign. The problem is he has a huge contract that he just signed with Tottenham, and he'll probably be pretty hard to get as well. And whether that's even if he wants to leave. So, other than that, there's not too many other options. So they're kind of in a shitty scenario as far as getting someone to come and take them over, especially so.
I also
for the rest
think
of the
they've been
season.
ignoring themselves in the transfer market recently. Like, who was like the most recent big player they signed?
The only one they really did in the summer was Vinicius Jr.
Vinicius.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he's going to be a
Vinicius,
great one for the
like-
future, but as far as the team directly right now, not so much.
Like, Benzema's been leading the line for like as far back.
Yeah,
as I
I'm surprised they
remember.
didn't get a new striker. Maybe they tried, and maybe they're not trying to force something through, so they're trying to wait for a good moment to actually get a replacement instead of just wasting money. But and I'm sure they tried to get Hazard in the summer, but Chelsea, I'm pretty sure, said no. So then you're really left with like other
Yeah.
players, huge ones like Neymar, Mbappe, and things like that they're trying to that are having trouble and just aren't. So I'm pretty sure Neymar next summer is going to leave, whether he goes back to Barca or if he goes to Real Madrid. I wouldn't be surprised he's going to one of those two destinations. But next summer, you're going to see him spend a lot of money.
Oh, man. Neymar is a playboy. I don't care.
Well,
I
yeah.
do.
No, I don't think Madrid's getting Neymar. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Really? He's apparently really unhappy in PSG in France.
Good.
I think
Why
he's
the fuck
getting
did
he
I think he's
leave
getting
Barcelona?
outshone by Mbappe, so it's not making him happy. I honestly think that's the reason.
Leaves Messi's shadow only to be in
Mbappe's shadow.
What a guy.
Yeah.
I don't think he's under a shadow, though. Honestly, I don't think that's really true.
I think he's partially. Mbappe has been killing it every single game. Like, the most recent game, he came in. This is off topic, but he came in, and it took him 4 minutes to score as a substitution.
Yeah, obviously he's great, but I think Neymar is still probably the main man. And
I would have
Mbappe's
Mbappe
second.
any day over Neymar if I had a club. And part of
Well,
it is
if
due
you
to
were to sign
personality,
someone,
though.
yeah.
Part of it is due to personality.
If you were to sign someone, yeah, that would make obviously sense. But in terms of hierarchy at that club right now, I still
Oh,
think
yeah,
Neymar's
yeah,
top
of course. Yeah, for sure. Like,
Yeah.
but I think it's the public opinion, and the public opinion, I don't know about anyone else, but for me,
Anyway.
Mbappe is bigger than Neymar.
Anyway,
Because he's
let's
a
get
French
back
boy.
to-
He's like, he's a local.
Yeah,
Let's
that
get
too,
back
actually.
to Real
But anyways,
Madrid
let's get back
deep
to Real Madrid. Did you guys have any other...
So, Shrikar, do you want to cover anything else with the deep dive?
On Madrid?
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing fine in the CL.
Yes.
Good contribution.
Uh,
You heard it, guys. This is all the info you need.
Okay. I think that maybe means that it's time for us to
Yeah,
stop.
so that probably covers the deep dive.
no, I mean,
Yeah, that was most of the stuff we wanted to cover. If you guys have any thoughts, again, shout it out because it's a big.
Yeah,
Topic,
we'd like to
you know,
hear
we can.
your comments, your thoughts, and if you
Yeah.
have anything, let us know.
and let us know who you'd like to see in the Real Madrid
Yeah,
hot
let us
seat
know
next.
comments-wise who you think might potentially be a coach, things like that. Put them in the comments, especially for YouTube. And if, like we said again, if you guys have any stories that you want us to cover for deep dive, please tell us. YouTube is probably the best way to get a hold of us, and then we can definitely cover those as well. But otherwise, we try and cover things that'll be relevant for the time of recording. And other than that, that brings us into our awards.